Part 14. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens. Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 131. At this moment, even Wan Qing herself felt very satisfied. But as he looked at it, a hint of crimson suddenly appeared on Wan Qing's stunning face. Bah, how could the master in this life invent such a shameful thing? It looks good indeed, but this is a woman's intimate clothing. But, master, I finally found you. Thinking in her mind, Wan Qing couldn't help but reveal a magnificent smile on her face, and began to think about her future plans. After some time, when the time is right, it is time to accept the master as his disciple. After 1,000 years of waiting, my long-cherished wish is about to come true. Even though she has a calm mind, Wan Qing still has an expression of unstoppable anticipation. Fukang Dao sect. Daozai, who was practicing, suddenly opened his eyes and frowned. Just now, while he was practicing, a feeling suddenly appeared and woke him up. But when he searched again, he lost the source of the induction. And just then, Daozai suddenly discovered that a jade pendant tied to his body suddenly caused an indescribable throbbing. Without any hesitation, Daozai immediately took off the jade pendant and examined it carefully. After all, this jade pendant is of great importance to him. Only because this jade pendant contains part of the Qing Emperor's inheritance. And the moment Daozai projected his consciousness onto this jade pendant, buzz. There was a buzzing sound, which indicated that the inheritance of the Qing Emperor was here. But at this moment, Daozai felt a little embarrassed. Just because his current cultivation is at a critical moment and he simply cannot leave. After thinking for a moment, Daozai had no choice but to use his second body to search for it. This second body was created by him using the Yuanfei of the innate creation of heaven and earth. It was a unique secret treasure in itself, and with his years of cultivation, his cultivation was enough to reach the dragon transformation realm. Daozai is confident that with the strength of his second dragon transformation realm, he is enough to cope with any crisis. After being dispatched, the second side rushed to the place where the Qing Emperor's inheritance was born without stopping. But no one expected it. The location that Daozai sensed happened to be near the 100 Sects Grand Meeting. At the same time, after a night's rest, the next day, with hundreds of sects competing, finally arrived. Volume 1 Chapter 128, Fairy abuses dogs, shocking gambling, and the birth of a scumbag. As an important part of the 100 Sects Grand event, there are many projects for the 100 sects to contest, spanning a large time span, and today is just the first day of the 100 sects to contest. The place where hundreds of sects competed was chosen to be outside Yunluo City, a relatively sparsely populated place, which would prevent everyone from fighting, being unable to stop, destroying Yunluo City, and even hurting innocent people. On this day, the scene where hundreds of sects competed was very lively with people coming and going. The high-level officials of the sects who came to participate, along with their geniuses, all gathered here, pulling each other's geniuses along with each other, constantly reminding them of something. And on the huge arena on one side, it was a beautiful royal sister who, as the host of this 100 sects contest, explained the rules of this 100 sects contest. Just listen. The royal sister said softly with a charming and sweet voice, "Everyone, this 100 sects contest is an arena battle and is divided into two parts. This morning, we will select the top 10 candidates among the proud men in 10 melee battles. And these 10 people, after taking a break at noon, will continue to participate in the 10-person competition in the afternoon to determine the ranking among the 10 people. Those who win the top 3 will receive hefty rewards." After hearing these words, everyone had different expressions. Arena battle, this is a very simple and rough competition. But as a genius, he has never been weaker than others in his life. How could he lose in this small arena battle? All the geniuses thought in their hearts, and they all looked confident. And this time, the beautiful lady on the stage continued to say, "Everyone, this competition among hundreds of sex focuses on the discussion and communication between the proud people. Please be careful and stop at it. Is communication and discussion more important?" Hearing this, Suliang couldn't help but started to complain, "That's what I said, but I've said that the top 3 will all receive generous rewards. Doesn't this make it clear that they want their respective disciples to work hard? The road to cultivating immortality is to compete with heaven, compete with people, and compete with fate. A huge reward is enough for these people to fight to the death." Hearing this, Qin Binjao immediately looked at Suliang with admiration. "Sulang, Sulang, you have discovered such deep and true meaning hidden by the host. You are so awesome." Turning his head and looking at his girlfriend's admiration and adoration, Suliang smiled and stroked his girlfriend's hair lovingly. After some introductions and preparations, the beautiful lady who was the host on the stage shouted in an excited tone, "The ring battle has officially begun, please come on stage." "Say it." The beautiful lady turned her head and walked off the stage quickly, as if she was afraid of being affected by the fight between these proud men. And just after the beautiful lady stepped down, all the proud people used their own methods, jumped onto the ring, and looked at the people around them warily. It was obvious that they had entered a fighting state. In this kind of melee without rules, no one is trustworthy, and no one is stupid enough to look for allies. After all, even if they are from the same sect or even a master, it is possible for them to make a sneak attack at the last moment and win the victory. In order to win for themselves, everyone has different thoughts and is wary of the existence of others. Among them, the one who was most targeted was Suliang. After all, the status of Suliang and Qin Binjao as Taoist companions is well known by now. Qin Binjao's stunning, holy, and cold appearance is like a flower on a high mountain. People dare not approach her, but they are filled with admiration. In the hearts of everyone, even if they can't get this holy flower, they can't bear it being taken away by others and planted in their own flower pots. Then, without any discussion, everyone seemed to have made an agreement long ago. After taking the stage, after a moment of silence, they all used their own methods to attack Suliang. The entire arena was overwhelmed by the various methods used by these proud men. As the light of various offensive methods shone, there was actually a faint meaning of destruction brewing in it. From the looks of it, they seemed to really want to kill Suliang. But facing the siege of everyone, Suliang was calm and unafraid. He didn't even bother to pull out the sword at his waist. He just made sword gestures with his hands and compared them with sword fingers. 10 swords containing extremely sharp sword energy appeared in Suliang's hands, and were controlled by Suliang, like arms and fingers, slashing towards other people. Just a moment. Everyone else fell under Suliang's sword energy. They struggled hard but couldn't get up at all. It was obvious that they had been severely injured. Standing on the ring, Suliang clasped his hands behind his back and looked at the people who fell on the ground with an enigmatic look. Group battle? Haha, it doesn't exist, okay. Want to see the sword chi mobile turret? After defeating everyone, Suliang naturally had no intention of staying in the ring anymore. After the result of his victory was announced, he jumped off the ring in one step. The moment he landed, Qin Binjao immediately came up to Suliang and asked, "Suliang, are you injured? Are you tired? I have the elixir here. You should eat it quickly, so as not to delay the afternoon battle. Let's go, come with me and take a rest. We just had a battle. Thank you for your hard work, Suliang." Suliang's battle was obviously a direct crushing one, but Qin Binjao looked like she had just fought a hard battle. But in the eyes of other people, the scene of these two people abusing dogs made them feel very upset. They were so full that they were about to die. but beyond the heartache of being stuffed with dog food. But there are also people who are thoughtful and have some enlightenment in their hearts. They understand that Suliang's strength is probably far stronger than they imagined. Able to control 10 sword energies and crush other beings who are also geniuses, this man named Suliang's sword-wielding skills are simply superb. It's not an exaggeration to call the younger generation nearly invincible, right? The morning ring battle ended quickly, and after the top 10 were selected, everyone took another short break and had lunch. Soon, it was afternoon. In the afternoon, everyone once again gathered at the edge of the arena where hundreds of sects were competing, waiting for the arena battle to begin. And this afternoon's battle is actually the real highlight. In the arena, the beautiful lady who was the host in the morning stood on top again and shouted excitedly, "Everyone, this battle of the top 10 among hundreds of sects is about to begin. Please look forward to it." After hearing this, everyone turned their attention to the ring, their eyes full of anticipation and excitement. Not only the senior officials and disciples of the 100 sects, but even some people from other industries also came here to watch the battle. This time the battle of the top 10 is attracting everyone's attention. Hundreds of senior officials and disciples, as well as famous wealthy businessmen and gentry within a radius of dozens of miles, all gathered here this afternoon. There is also the powerful Chamber of Commerce, which sent its senior officials to Yunluo City in person to participate and watch the hundreds of sects competing, and also personally opened a huge gambling game here. Everyone has decided to leave. The people from the big Chamber of Commerce were among the watching crowd. In front of hundreds of people, they blatantly set up a gambling stall and shouted, "If you are interested in placing bets, please come as soon as possible. Among the top 10 the war is about to begin, don't wait until the deadline." After listening to this man's words, many people came up and asked, "This shopkeeper, may I ask, who is the person with the lowest odds now?" The person in charge of the gambling game glanced at them and said leisurely, "Of course it's Ferry Benjeo from Tiandeo section." After hearing this, those who asked were suddenly enlightened. Really? My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 132. In the previous 100 sects gathering, Qin Benjeo fought against the girl from the sword sect and crushed her with one hand, displaying extremely powerful strength. Many people speculated that Qin Benjeo had most likely broken through to the dragon transformation realm. But among the geniuses of other sects, the strongest are only at the Grandmaster level. Among a group of Grandmaster realms, a dragon transformation realm appeared. They were all geniuses, and their combat experience and chance methods were indistinguishable. How could they fight? Qin Benjeo is basically a sure winner. But then again, Qin Benjeo's odds are so low, even if the pressure is really on her, the win is guaranteed, but she can't win at all. Then, after thinking for a while, someone asked again, "Shopkeeper, who has the lowest odds?" Hearing this, the shopkeeper in charge of the gambling game chuckled and said, "Suliang, Ferry Benjeo's Taoist companion, is also a member of the Tiandeo section. Suliang has only recently become famous, but he also borrowed the name Qin Benjeo from Taoist priest and has almost never made any move in front of outsiders. Just in that battle in the morning, it seemed that he was overwhelming everyone with his sword skills, and he was extremely powerful, but it was precisely because he was so powerful that no one could guess his true strength. Therefore, everyone regarded Suliang as the breakthrough point in this top 10 battle that was 100% targeted. And just then, Tan Kinja walked over slowly, put the spirit stones on the table, and said coldly, "These spirit stones will outweigh Suliang's." But the words just fell. Then he saw a beautiful woman walking up to Tan Kinja, with a malicious smile on her face, and said softly, "Hey, Sister Kinja is quite generous. In order to support her disciples, she is willing to throw away so many things spiritual stone." Tan Kinja raised her head and glanced at this person, but said nothing. This beautiful woman was the head of a rival sect of Tiandao section. The disciples on both sides were used to fighting each other to death. When they met, they never said anything nice to each other. Seeing that Tan Kinja was silent, the beautiful woman thought that Tan Kinja was guilty, so her smile became brighter and she continued, "Sister Kinja, seeing your disobedience makes me really happy. Why don't you and I make a bet to see whose disciple can win?" While speaking, the beautiful woman raised her head and looked at Tan Kinja, feeling proud and confident. "I think that we should give up." Tan Kinja shook her head and refused, not wanting to agree. After all, in her opinion, Suliang's strength was the strongest among everyone present, except Qin Binjao. No matter how you look at it, she will definitely win this bet. It's really hard to take advantage of others, and they bully others too hard. See this. Naturally, the beautiful woman would not be happy, and pretended to be disdainful, saying, "I think you are just afraid. You know that your disciple will lose, so you don't dare to bet with me." After hearing this and seeing the other party repeatedly seeking death, Tan Kinja had no choice but to agree. "Since you insist on doing this, then, okay." Seeing that Tan Kinja actually agreed, the beautiful woman showed a proud smile. Tan Kinja, didn't you always keep a cold expression in front of me and ignore me? Look at how you keep your arrogance and coolness after losing this time." At the edge of the arena, as the arena battle was about to begin, everyone was discussing and bragging, "Hey, have you heard that the proud son of Wengzin sect has been training in a low-key manner for 10 years, just to become a blockbuster and become famous? Prove yourself." It seems that the Wengzin sect disciples' winning rate is not low today. It's not just him. Look at Zheng Zhong that day, that proud man. He has been invincible all his life. He crushed him all the way with great momentum. This time, he will not lose to others easily. Aha, Wengzenzong Tianxiao, Tianzenzong Tianxiao, right? Remember it? Remember it? Qin Binjao was on the sidelines, listening to these people's discussions and bragging, and secretly recorded everything in her mind, keeping an eye on them. Because it's very likely that my own Sulang can't beat him. It's not that I don't believe in my man's strength, it's just that as Sulang's girlfriend, I should help Sulang eliminate all dangerous elements. Soon, after some preparation, the challenge is about to begin. On the ring, the beautiful lady shouted excitedly, "This ring competition is divided into 3 rounds. In the first round, there are 5 groups. You can choose your opponents at will. After the battle, the top 5 will be selected. And in the second round, it's still a random selection. The one who gets a bye will automatically advance without having to fight. The third round is the real battle for the top 3. I declare that the ring battle begins now." After saying that, the beautiful lady quickly walked off the ring, leaving it to the talented people. And just then, but a cold and proud voice suddenly appeared, "I challenge Suliang." After hearing this, Suliang walked towards the ring in confusion. Who, with such a big hatred against me, would be the first to challenge him? If a man is like this, he can still understand why he looks at a woman. But when he stepped onto the ring, he saw the pretty-looking Leng Ao royal sister has a cold and aloof expression, with a hint of anger in her eyes. She has a slender figure, wrapped in a long skirt, and is elegant and sassy. Her whole body temperament reveals aloofness and coldness. Meaning, the look reminded Suliang of his girlfriend's temperament when they first met. There is a slight resemblance. And just then, the imperial sister asked coldly, "Suliang, do you recognize me?" Suliang shook his head. He really didn't know this person and had never seen him before. Immediately afterwards. Volume 1 Chapter 129, Bullying the Fairy Boyfriend. The cute fairy is at her peak acting skills. But I heard the royal sister say in a cold voice, the girl in black who competed with you in swordsmanship before, I am her senior sister. Over the years, the sect has hidden me as a dark horse. I have not been allowed to show up. I have been practicing patiently, but my junior sister's reputation has become bigger and bigger. But, with the glazed sword body, I am the one with the strongest swordsmanship among the disciples of the section. Listening to Sister Yu's words, Suliang asked in confusion, so? After all, today, I am here to avenge my junior sister. Sister Yu said decisively. Hearing this, Suliang almost burst out in anger. He said with great confusion, you misunderstood, your junior sister and I have no hatred at all. But I didn't expect it. Sister Yu said confidently, how can I not have any hatred? Qin Benjao bullied my junior sister, so I will naturally bully her man to take revenge. After hearing about this case, Suliang simply couldn't complain. You are too reasonable. Benjao bullied your junior sister, so you bully Benjao's man? How does this logic work? Stop talking nonsense and take action. Sister Yu's voice still had a bit of coldness. Suliang, if you want to blame Qin Benjao. If it weren't for her, you wouldn't have been defeated so miserably today. Say it. Sister Yu suddenly drew her sword out of its sheath, and as the true energy surged, infinite sword intent wrapped around the long sword. Go. With a soft shout, the sword energy was slashed out from the long sword, but it was still under her control. It circled around her body. After a circle, it finally stretched across the air, like an arm. Humph, this is my sword control technique. Sister Yu said to Suliang with a hint of pride in her cold voice. At the same time, sword energy appeared on her side one after another, controlled and manipulated by her, and the number was increasing. Soon, the number exceeded the 10 sword energies displayed by Suliang during the battle in the morning. It's just some sword energy. It doesn't look like anyone can do it. Shaking his head, Suliang didn't even unsheath his sword. He just pinched the sword with his hand and compared it to the fingers of a sword. As he swung the sword, in the blink of an eye, several sword auras emerged and lingered around him. And as the amount of sword energy around the imperial sister of the sword first sect increased, the sword energy around Suliang also continued to increase. The two of them increased the sword energy they controlled like this, as if there was no limit. There were some good people in the audience. After counting, they were shocked to find that Suliang's sword energy was always one step more powerful than that of the imperial sister of the sword sect. Finally, after some competition, the sword energy around Sister Yu's body climbed to 49 levels before it reached its peak and stopped. This number has shocked the onlookers around. Even some swordsman monks looked at this amount of sword energy with their eyes filled with enthusiasm. As expected of the owner of the glazed sword body, with just a master level cultivation, he can actually control 49 sword energies. Isn't this a bit too strong? Practitioners, even if they are not sword cultivators, know very well how difficult it is to increase the number of sword energy manipulations. Those who are called geniuses of swordsmanship only have 20 or 30 swordsmanship at the master level. 49 swordsmanship is already beyond their imagination. Looking at the other side, Suliang was also surrounded by dense sword energy. Everyone held their breath and watched the battle carefully. This can be said to be the strongest confrontation between the young generation and the swordsman. At this moment. But someone didn't know who shouted, "Look, that Suliang can control 50 sword chi, one more than that disciple of the first sword sect." When everyone heard this, they all looked at Suliang in shock. When they clearly counted the sword energy around Suliang, they all took a breath of air. That Jianyi sect disciple was already strong enough, but Suliang was actually stronger than her? What kind of devilish talent is this? At the same time, Sister Yu naturally also discovered the fact that Suliang had one more sword energy than hers. How can this be? She has a glazed sword body with such a powerful kendo that she can only compete with the 49th kendo. Suliang's talent and kendo cultivation are actually stronger than hers. Although the difference is only a sword energy, but I really lost to him. After being shocked, Sister Yu asked unwillingly, Suliang, how much sword energy can you master? Suliang shrugged and said nothing. As his cultivation progressed, the sword energy he could control now had already exceeded 100, and he could no longer count how many. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 133. If these words were spoken, I am afraid that many people would be frightened to death, and the Taoist heart of this royal sister would also be directly shattered, right? On the other side of the ring, Qin Benjiao took the lead in inviting fights before everyone else, helping to eliminate those opponents who seemed to be very threatening. See this. All the people watching around became excited to know whether it is Qin Benjiao or those she invited to fight. They are the strongest group in this top 10 battle, and they all have the hope of winning the first place. Originally, everyone thought that they would stay at the end before the decisive battle would take place. But who knew that it would be king versus king at the beginning? Isn't this a little too exciting? In the arena, Qin Benjiao faced her opponent with a cold expression and a tone without any emotion. In order for Suliang to win the first place, I can only let you fail first. Speaking softly, Qin Benjiao didn't hold back at all. She used thunderous means to strike, a powerful blow. With his cultivation strength that surpassed everyone, coupled with his full strength, Qin Benjiao's battle was always unfavorable, and he swept away many powerful opponents with a combat power that arrogantly dominated the field. As a result, all the seeded players who were particularly optimistic about winning the championship were eliminated. They are indeed geniuses, but their qualifications are not as good as Qin Benjiao's, and they are at the Grand Master level and are challenged by Qin Benjiao, who is in the Dragon Transformation level. There is no way they can fight. So, amid Qin Benjiao's sweep, it was soon the second round. In the second round, while Qin Benjiao was still working hard to help Suliang eliminate powerful opponents, Suliang was challenged again. This time the challenger is a soft and charming girl. The girl is slightly petite in body, and her face is pretty and cute, but she has a soft smile, and her eyebrows are full of softness and charm. Coupled with that concave and convex figure, which is far beyond the proud peak of her peers, and her soft and charming temperament, although she is not as stunning as Qin Benjiao and Tan Kinja, the beauty is eye-catching, but she is kikik. The girl let out a burst of crisp laughter and came to Suliang. She half covered her face with her jade hands, her eyebrows and eyes were smiling, and she said sweetly, "Brother Suliang, a disciple of the Qingyu sect, Lin Lingxiu, I have met my eldest brother. Brother, your last battle was clearly visible to others. So, I know that I am definitely no match for you. So, Brother Suliang, look, I will admit defeat immediately, is that okay? It seems that he is harmless to humans and animals." After finishing his words, he turned around and left the stage. But when faced with the surrender of a delicate girl, Suliang didn't react much, and kept an inexplicable smile on his face. At this time, the girl who was about to turn around suddenly got up and struck out with two bone-scraping knives, slashing at each other. The girl's face was full of rage, and she approached Suliang very quickly. She slashed at Suliang's face with the bone scraper in her hand. "Haha, Suliang, I see that you used sword control in both battles. It seems that you are just proficient in sword control. In this case, I will fight you at close range. Then I will see how you can control your sword skills. However, The girl didn't expect that Suliang was not a mage at all, but a pure warrior. Melee. Back then, even the protagonists Lin Feng and Ren Changsheng were killed by him. Who was he afraid of? Then, after being approached, Suliang decisively used Ming Hai Giwen Jin to control the aura around him and start a battle with the girl. Finally, after an old punch, the girl was so beaten that she sat on the ground and cried bitterly. She cried out aggrievedly, "Brother, you don't follow martial ethics, you are a good magic Taoist priest, why did you suddenly become a magic priest, you're a warrior now." After passing through all levels, Suliang was successfully promoted to the top 3 after 2 rounds of battles, and was able to participate in the 3rd round of battles. But this round of fighting is really a bit subtle. After all, among the 3 people in the top 3, there are Suliang, Qin Binjiao, and a powerful talent who was promoted to the top 3 through a bye. Putting aside the genius, Suliang and Qin Binjiao are extremely close Taoist couples. Perhaps everyone wants to see the battle between Suliang and Qin Binjiao, and wants to see the two fighting for the leadership, using their own methods, and finally the relationship collapses. But in fact, neither Suliang nor Qin Binjiao had this idea. Of course, the eyes of Suliang and Qin Binjiao fell on the third person. Feeling the gaze between the two of them, the by-player looked like Alexander. Qin Binjiao is in the dragon transformation realm and is very powerful. He has crushed countless seed players along the way. As for Suliang, although he only fought 3 battles, the opponents in each battle were all powerful, but he was able to crush them all with one move. Both his sword-wielding skills and his melee combat abilities were extremely strong. How can we fight and win when being targeted by 2 people like this, especially Qin Binjiao? Suliang was fine, there was still the novelty of fighting him, but Qin Binjiao, there was no way he could win, right? Thinking in his mind, this by-player decisively shouted, "I give up and admit defeat." As soon as these words came out, there was a burst of discussion among the people watching the battle. But the by-player didn't care at all. No matter what you say, the best you can do is to end up in 3rd place anyway. Rather than being beaten up by Qin Binjiao one more time, it would be better to admit defeat happily. See this. The beautiful lady who was the host walked up to the ring and shouted loudly, "Congratulations to Qin Binjiao and Suliang from Tiandao sect, for locking in the top 2. Next, it's a decisive battle between these two." As soon as these words came out, everyone in the audience immediately burst into discussion. "This is the moment you have been waiting for. Haha, Suliang, I told you to keep being sweet and sweet with Fairy Binjiao, but now, you and Fairy Binjiao are rivals, let's see what you do when the time comes." In the arena, Qin Binjiao and Suliang looked at each other with a slightly strange expression. Although the current scene was indeed not beyond their expectations, no matter how they thought about it, they still felt a little weird. After all, this final battle between the two of them is a veritable civil war between husband and wife. Soon, the final battle begins. "Suliang, be careful, I'm about to take action." Qin Binjiao reminded her boyfriend, and then at a slow speed, she raised her slender hand into a fist, stepped forward and attacked her boyfriend. At this speed, let alone Suliang, even if he found a physical state, he would be able to dodge it and counter-attack in time, right? See this. Suliang helplessly held his forehead. Can my girlfriend be a little more cute? It's just a fake game, but what's going on with this terrible acting? Are you afraid that others won't be able to see it? Could it be any more fake? But despite saying this, Suliang still cooperated honestly. After turning his head to avoid his girlfriend's punch, Suliang quickly punched his girlfriend at a normal speed. Nature. This punch has no strength at all. It is much weaker than the strength of the massage. It hits the body without feeling at all. But whether it was Suliang's speed or the scene when the punch was thrown, it was enough to make people believe it. However, After receiving a punch, Qin Benjio had no reaction for a long time. She just maintained the posture of punching and looked at Suliang with her big beautiful eyes blinking, looking cute. What does Benjio want to do? Are you going to act again? No matter who wins or loses, if you get punched, you must at least have some reaction. Suliang was even more helpless. No matter how good he was in acting, he had no choice but to have no one to cooperate. Then he could only use his eyes to communicate with his girlfriend. Benjio, Benjio, I punched you, please give me some reaction. Ah, did Sulang make a move? I didn't feel it. Hee, Sulang is the best. He is reluctant to fight me. I like Sulang the most. I also like you the most. No, you are still in the ring now. Oh, that's right. After blinking a few times, Qin Benjio finally reacted. An exaggerated look of pain immediately appeared on her face. Ah, it hurt so much, I was knocked down. While talking, Qin Benjio slowly squatted down and wiped the ground in a subtle way. Then she sat down, leaned back, and fell to the ground. At the same time, Qin Benjio did not forget to shout, "You even defeated me with one punch. Sulang is so powerful. What are you doing, can you be any more fake?" Suliang was completely speechless. The result is indeed correct, but I really can't compliment my girlfriend's acting skills. But then, he showed a warm smile. If it wasn't for herself, why would Benjio do this? Benjio, thank you so much for your hard work. Then, in this decisive battle between hundreds of sects, everyone in the audience smelled a strong smell of dog food. Volume 1 # Chapter 130 The Punishment of a Beautiful Woman at the Dinner Table. Seeing the two people on the stage performing various fake acting skills to show their affection, everyone's expressions were distorted. Fairy Benjio can do this for a man, so sad. Why, this person can't be me. Moreover, a good competition has turned into a dog abuse scene. Enough is enough for you two. Even Tan Kinja felt a little bit unbearable. It's so embarrassing. The performance played by my own apprentice is so fake. How could he teach such a disciple? What the hell is this? Huh, it's Liang's fault. Ever since he appeared, Yao has become more and more cute and clumsy. It's all her fault. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 134. Moment. Suliang on the stage shuddered, as if he was being stared at by something. After the battle, the beautiful hostess walked onto the stage and announced, "Congratulations to Suliang, the proud son of Tiandao sect, for successfully reaching the top spot and becoming the leader of this 100-sect competition." Su. The whole audience immediately burst into boos. Is he first? How did he come to be number one? Didn't you hosts count it? We can't stand it anymore, okay. But Suliang, who was in the center of the whirlpool, was indifferent and calm. What's wrong? It's true that I became the number one because of my girlfriend, but that's because I have a good girlfriend. Do you understand whether soft food is hard to eat? You want to eat, but do you have it? Soon. The reward for first place was presented and Suliang took it in his hand. Mian Royal's sister introduced, the reward for the first place in the 100-sex competition is the Dao grade yin-yang bipolar jade. This jade contains the dual energy of yin and yang and forms a universe of its own. The holder of this jade can guide the dual energy of yin and yang out of it and use it for cultivation. It will get twice the result with half the effort and extremely fast. Moreover, for people like me and my girlfriend who have pure yang and taiying constitutions, the bipolar energy of yin and yang has more benefits. Compared with others, if the two of them use it, the yin and yang are harmonious, and the auras match. I am afraid that they can match their cultivation speed several times. Feeling the aura of the yin and yang bipolar jade, Suliang Zhong added. This thing really suits me. Not bad, I found a treasure this time. After the battle between hundreds of sects, Sul Yang and Qin Binjao got off the ring together and walked in the direction of Tan Kinja. But at this moment, a beautiful woman suddenly appeared in front of the two of them and stopped them. Kikik. The beautiful woman smiled coquettishly, her branches trembling, her pretty face, her extremely charming aura, coupled with her pair of overly majestic and proud peaks that trembled up and down with her movements, immediately attracted countless people gaze. Little brother Sul Yang, I am the head of the Huangzai section. The beautiful woman glanced at Qin Binjao, who was a little wary at the side, and said straight to the point, you are very capable, little brother, to be able to charm the famous iceberg fairy Qin Binjao, who is admired by countless people, like this. Why don't you join our Huangzai sect? I think you are a good candidate to join. Hearing this, before Sul Yang could react, Qin Binjao hugged Sul Yang's arm and looked at the eldest sister from the Huangzai sect with dangerous eyes, threatening her and telling him to leave quickly and smoothly. Sul Yang naturally did not mean this, so he politely declined in a gentlemanly manner, it disappoints my sister. I am very good at Tiandao sect and I have no idea of changing the sect yet. Just kidding, my girlfriend and sister are both in Tiandao sect, how could I follow the eldest sister of Huangzai sect? At the same time, Tan Kinja sighed. Seeing that the bet between himself and Tan Kinja was lost in such a strange way, he had to pay a huge price to Tan Kinja. The head of this sect, who was a rival to the Tiandao sect, was pouting and crying, and his mentality was simply explosive. Who would have thought that Qin Binjao would lose to that Sul Yang on purpose? This time, I really lost miserably. In addition to the bet placed and the spiritual stones compensated for Tan Kinja, half of the sect's reserves may be lost at this moment. Tan Kinja, wait. The beautiful woman sect owner burst into tears while shouting, I will come back. But even so, she still fulfilled her bet honestly. Even if he lost to Tan Kinja, he still wanted to cheat. As the head of one of the 100 sects, she really couldn't afford to lose this person. And, although I don't want to say it, she is indeed no match for Tan Kinja. After receiving the bet and the reward for her bet, Tan Kinja counted the spirit stones and determined one thing. This time, it was really a big profit. Especially the rewards for betting, Sul Yang's odds were frighteningly high. As a result, she who bet on Sul Yang's victory received terrifying rewards. What a win! But the strange thing is that she is not happy at all now. Looking at my apprentice and Ale Yang who were kissing me on the other side, Tan Kinja felt the sour feeling in her heart and sighed. She felt that she was really becoming more and more jealous now, and she didn't want to see Sul Yang being intimate with her apprentice. Absolutely no grace at all. After the 100 sects struggle ended, Sul Yang and his party returned to their inn. What ends today is only the first item of the 100 sects struggle. There will be other content in the future, so naturally we can't go back like this. In the inn. While the apprentice was doing other things without noticing, Tan Kinja set her sights on Sul Yang and planned to teach him a lesson in private. Yang. Looking at Sul Yang seriously, Tan Kinja said with a slightly stern voice, you and Yaoer can't go on like this. Look, before you came into contact with Yaoer, she was such a smart child, but now, she is like this and can't even act. If you keep in contact with her, I'm afraid Yaoer will become even more stupid. So, from now on, you have to keep some distance from her and don't get too close or have too much contact. Not allowing myself to be intimate or in contact with my girlfriend. What's going on? Looking at Tan Kinja who was pretending to be serious but still feeling guilty, Sul Yang thought for a while, then pointed out the problem directly and said, I think, sister, you are obviously jealous, right? How is it possible? Tan Kinja panicked and immediately refused to admit it, Yaoer is my apprentice, how can I be jealous of my apprentice? You don't believe this yourself, do you? Just be jealous if you're jealous. I won't hate you because of it, so what if I just say it directly? Seeing Tan Kinja's eyes wandering around, trying to cover up, Suliang felt that it was necessary to teach his arrogant sister a lesson. Then, when Tan Kinja wasn't paying attention, Suliang made a decisive move, moved forward and wrapped his arms around Tan Kinja's waist. Immediately afterwards, take a step forward. Boom. There was a muffled sound, and Suliang blocked Tan Kinja against the wall. The wall banged. Ah, Liang, why are he so close? Looking at Suliang getting closer and closer, feeling the aura on Suliang's body, Tan Kinja wanted to run away, but there was no way to escape, so she immediately turned red and felt extremely shy. This moment, she just felt that her whole body had softened and she couldn't be strong at all. And just then, squeak! The door opened, and Qin Benjao's figure walked in from the door. See this? Tan Kinja immediately became nervous. Oops, Yaoer got caught. What can we do? On the other side, seeing her boyfriend banging her master, Qin Benjao was stunned for a moment, and then asked suspiciously, Master, Suliang, what are you doing? Faced with Qin Benjao's suspicion, Suliang was extremely calm and said calmly, Oh, it's okay. Your master has sand in his eyes. He is very uncomfortable and can't get them out. I'm helping your master blow the sand out of his eyes. Hearing this, Tan Kinja was extremely speechless. Can Yaoer believe such a perfunctory explanation? No one can be fooled by this, right? It's just a reason. Can you be more careful? But Qin Benjao really believed it? I saw. Qin Benjao nodded suddenly, that's it? Hey, Suliang, you are so kind to master. Seeing her apprentice like this, Tan Kinja couldn't help but complain. Where has my ice snow and clever apprentice gone? Yaoer, how can you be so stupid and adorable? At dinner time. On the table. Tan Kinja knocked on the two of them and said, soon, the struggle among hundreds of sects will begin again. You two, please be less intimate during these days and practice more, so that you can be more confident when the time comes. Then, he looked at his idiot apprentice and said seriously, Yaoer, especially you can't even act well, you're so stupid. I think this is all because of Suliang's influence. From now on, you should stay away from Suliang, do you hear me? However, facing the master's beating, Qin Benjao said confidently, why? Suliang is my man. Is it wrong for me to be close to Suliang? You, Yaoer, what do you want me to say about you? Listening to her apprentice's words, Tan Kinja sighed, somewhat hating that iron could not become steel. At the same time, under the table, Tan Kinja's jade feet wrapped in black stockings were constantly stepping on Suliang as punishment. But Suliang felt that this was not a punishment, but a welfare. Under the table, Tan Kinja's jade feet wrapped in black stockings stepped on Suliang's legs, all the way up, and soon she reached a crucial position. Immediately afterwards, Tan Kinja's small and delicate feet flexibly entered somewhere, with a special frequency, and she stepped on them lightly and sometimes heavily. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 135. Hiss. Suliang immediately took a breath of air. Feeling the warmth of his sister's black silk jade feet, the smooth skin, and the unique smooth texture of the stockings, added to the feeling on top of his giant sword. Especially, next to him is his girlfriend, eating something with a cute look on his face. This layer upon layer of stimulation simply made Suliang unable to bear it. If it weren't for the wrong timing and his girlfriend beside him, Suliang would have pressed Tan Kinja on the table and went into battle with a gun. Volume 1 Chapter 131, After bullying my girlfriend, I went to bully her master. Seeing Suliang's unbearable look, Tan Kinja gave him a slightly proud look. Haha, Aoyang, how do you feel about your sister's education method? To this, Suliang could only write a big word service. Using black silk and jade feet to educate you is worthy of you, my sister. But is it Benjao's own problem that Benjao has become stupid? What does it have to do with me? Sister, why are you educating me? How about this, sister, please stop now and wait until the dead of night, how about we continue? Suliang looked at Tan Kinja with an innocent face, blinking and making eye contact. But Tan Kinja didn't care whether Suliang was innocent or not. While she was teaching her apprentice, she was stepping on Suliang's vitals. This kind of game that the alternative wife is currently playing is really too exciting. Not only Suliang, but also Tan Kinja herself is enjoying it. After a lesson, Tan Kinja's face became serious and she said seriously, tomorrow, the 100-sex struggle will begin again, but this time, the target of the 100-sex struggle is somewhat different, it is the Qing Emperor's mausoleum. The words fell. Seeing that Suliang and Tan Kinja looked a little confused, Tan Kinja explained, it is rumored that the mausoleum of the Green Emperor is the legacy of the mausoleum left behind by the former Green Emperor when he ascended. Although it was indeed a place of great opportunity in the past, with the development and experience of the world of immortality over the years, most of the inheritance opportunities have been hollowed out. Now, it is just a tourist attraction. After hearing this, Qin Benjao asked doubtfully, if that's the case, why do we have to go to the Qing Emperor's mausoleum to compete among hundreds of sects? Tan Kinja explained, although it is just a tourist attraction now, it is the Qing Emperor's mausoleum after all, which is extremely important in itself. And this time, it was only with the joint efforts of our hundreds of sects that we were allowed to transform the Qingdi mausoleum into a trial place for this 100 sects to compete. I see. Hearing Tan Kinja's words, Suliang and Qin Benjao both nodded, finally understanding the inside story. But at the same time, Suliang fell into thinking. Qingdi. I don't know if it was because Suliang was a little sensitive to the name Qingdi. Faintly, he always felt that he was very familiar with this name. But unfortunately, I can't figure out where it is familiar. Late at night. Squeak. With a soft sound, the door of Suliang's room was suddenly opened. Immediately afterwards, a slender figure carefully slipped in from the door, tiptoed to Suliang's bedside, and then threw herself into Suliang's arms on the bed. Subconsciously, Suliang stretched out his hand to catch this beautiful figure. As soon as he got it, Suliang recognized it, Benjao. Hey hey. Qin Benjao smiled happily, lying on Suliang's body, rubbing her head against Suliang's chest, looking charming and naive. Suliang, I helped you win the 100 sex competition, the leader of the flow, shouldn't he be rewarded? That's natural. My wife is the best. Suliang responded with a smile, looking down at his girlfriend, but after one glance, he looked straight in the face. I saw. Qin Benjao, who came tonight, put on that catsuit again. The cat ears are hidden between the silver hair, a pair of furry cat claw gloves on the hands, a tail tied around the waist, and the legs are wrapped in white silk, which matches Qin Benjao's cute look. Oops, how can my girlfriend's white silk cat girl outfit be so cute and beautiful? This moment, Suliang couldn't help it, so he turned over and knocked his girlfriend down. Suliang's dull expression of appreciation naturally fell in Qin Benjao's eyes. Hey hey. Qin Benjao chuckled, Suliang, he really has no resistance to me. Thinking in her mind, Qin Benjao rubbed her beautiful white legs back and forth on Suliang's body, and she came close to Suliang's ear. Her voice was soft and charming. Meow, master, do you want to give your lovely cat some rewards? One sentence was so tantalizing that it made Suliang tremble all over. But soon, Suliang's mind suddenly recalled what Tan Kinja said during the previous meal. Ahem. After coughing twice, Suliang looked serious and said, Benjeo, you are the chief disciple of my Tiandao sect, and you represent the face of my Tiandao section, therefore, you must be graceful when you go out. That's fine in the room, but outside, you can't always be so clingy. However, Qin Benjeo didn't care about Suliang's words at all. Instead, she pouted, her eyes were slightly red, and she looked worried. Suliang, don't you like me like this? How could you not like it? Suliang quickly changed his words, Yao, you should know that I like everything about you. Humph, that's pretty much it. Qin Benjeo became happy after hearing what her boyfriend said. See this. Suliang sighed, but did not continue to knock, but said, Benjeo helped me so much during the day, so I naturally want to reward Benjeo. How about, just pillow your knees? Great. Qin Benjeo immediately shouted happily. Immediately. She stood up decisively, waited for her boyfriend to sit down, and then lay directly on her boyfriend's lap. Feeling the reassuring breath of her boyfriend and the hot temperature on her body, Qin Benjeo moved her slender hands in the air, swinging her beautiful white silk legs back and forth, looking lazy. But although Suliang's knee pillow is indeed very good, how can it be satisfied with just this? Thinking in her mind, Qin Benjeo raised her head and kept crouching her head on Suliang's lap, teasing her quietly. But he still said seriously, Suliang, you have grown very well in recent times, and your cultivation is almost catching up with mine. However, this is not enough. You still need to improve your strength. Improve strength. Suliang raised his brows, and suddenly heard the sound of the gem he had just obtained. Among them, there is a rich and pure bipolar atmosphere. So, Suliang said, Benjeo, tell me, if we use our yin and yang to harmonize to activate the bipolar energy in Bayu, can our cultivation speed be faster? Worth giving it a try. Qin Benjeo nodded, and then looked at Suliang with expectant eyes. Feeling the look in his girlfriend's eyes and holding her girlfriend who was constantly teasing him, Suliang couldn't bear it anymore. Make mistakes, this cat is mine. Hey hey. Suliang chuckled and looked at his girlfriend, oh, where did the cat come from? It always makes mistakes. It seems that it needs to be trained. Immediately. In the room, a small theater of cat training began. Suliang used practical operations to tell Qin Benjeo what the correct operating posture of the cat lady was. Late at night. Right in the room, Suliang and Qin Benjeo were performing the most exciting part of their cat training theater. No one expected that there was a figure hiding on the wall of the room next to the two of them, with his ears pressed tightly against the wall, and his body would follow the changes in the weak movements in the room and react. From the looks of it, it was obvious that this person was listening to the corner. Pooh. In the darkness, this man's voice came, I just came back and came to Alien's room. Moreover, he played so intensely with Alien that he could even meow. Yao, she can be so dishonest, it's really outrageous. Muttering in a low voice, this person felt disgusted with Qin Benjeo's inappropriate voice in the room. Apparently, the figure listening to the corner in the middle of the night is none other than Tan Kinja. There is only one Suliang, and both Tan Kinja and Qin Benjeo want it, so they naturally want to come and look for him in the middle of the night. But Tan Kinja is different from Qin Benjeo. As Suliang's girlfriend, Qin Benjeo is forbidden by her master to hang out with her boyfriend too much during this period, but she can come to see her boyfriend secretly at night without any scruples. But Tan Kinja still has to worry about Qin Benjeo's actions. She must find out in advance, so as not to wait for Qin Benjeo to come to her door while she is swinging wildly with Suliang. So, it was only natural that Tan Kinja would be the one to sit in the corner tonight. And at this time, Tan Kinja, who was standing in the corner, listened to the complicated sounds in the room with her own ears. After a while, her cheeks turned red, her eyes watered, and she looked shy. At the same time, her double breasts, hidden under her long skirt and wrapped in black stockings, stuck together tightly and kept rubbing together, the frequency getting faster and faster, and the stream gurgled out. Finally, after an unknown amount of time, Tankinja finally reached her. There was no movement from the two people in the room on the other side. Phew, it finally stopped. Is it time for Yaor to go back now? Thinking in her mind, Tankinja subconsciously wanted to relax. However, but before she could really relax. Squeak. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 136. There was a soft sound, and the door was suddenly opened. Then, under Tankinja's slightly surprised gaze, Suliang pushed the door open and walked straight towards her. Liang, what are you doing? Tankinja frowned slightly and warned, tomorrow the 100 sex contest will begin again, and this time the stakes are very high. You should have a good rest now, and just be with Yaor. How can you come here late at night, find me? I'm warning you, you should go back and rest quickly, otherwise, I will call Yaor. However, faced with her elegant warning, Suliang took it for granted and didn't take it seriously at all. Not only did he not listen to her words, but he very calmly climbed into the bed of the aloof queen, lifted up the quilt, and got in. Immediately afterwards, a pair of big hands, very familiar, hugged Tankinja's soft and delicate body, and moved up and down towards the places where they should go. Liang, you. Tankinja's cheeks were slightly red, a little shy, and she struggled slightly. At this time, Suliang came close to Tankinja's ear and whispered, Sister, you didn't even take off your black stockings this late at night, and you said you weren't waiting for me. Snored. Tankinja turned away, held her head high, and said disdainfully, I'm not as greedy as someone. I just got off my disciple, and in the blink of an eye, I found my master again, without caring at all tomorrow's business. Liang, you just finished bullying your girlfriend. Why, you didn't even let your girlfriend go. Arrogant and elegant, she is despised online. But Suliang felt a strong sense of jealousy from it. Although it felt inexplicably refreshing to be looked at by my sister with such disdain, I still couldn't get used to it. Touching his chin and looking at his still arrogant sister, Suliang felt that tonight, he must teach his sister an unforgettable lesson. Otherwise, is it okay to be jealous in the future? This is a major event that affects family harmony. Early the next morning, until 3 o'clock in the morning, there was still no movement in the rooms of Tankinja and Qin Benjao. Yes, after Suliang's troubles last night, the master and the apprentice, without exception, all got up late. It wasn't until the 100 sex struggle was about to begin that the two masters and apprentices in the room finally woke up, hurriedly put on their clothes, tidied up their appearance, and walked out of the room. Then, in the corridor outside the inn-room, the two masters and apprentices who happened to meet each other looked at each other in confusion, looking at each other who had also just woken up and looked somewhat embarrassed. For a moment, they both felt a little embarrassed. Ha, ha ha, master, did you just get up too? Qin Benjao laughed twice and greeted her master awkwardly. Tankinja also forced out a smile, but the words sounded awkward, yes, Yaor, are you too? What a coincidence, haha. What a coincidence. If Suliang, Liang, hadn't been too aggressive yesterday and worked very late, how could I not have gotten up today? If Master, Yaor, knew about this, then Master, Yaor, is afraid that he wants to kill me? Thinking of this, both of them shuddered at the same time. No, Master, Yaor, must not know about this matter, just keep it as a secret and keep it in your heart forever. Then, in just a short moment, this matter became a secret between the two of them. Time is tight, but there is still time for breakfast. While eating, looking at Suliang sitting next to him, happily enjoying his breakfast as if nothing had happened, the master and the disciple felt a little stuffy in their hearts. "Humph, you had a great job last night, but I'm so miserable that I can't get up today, and I was caught by Master Yao. No, this time, no matter what, I cannot let you off lightly." Thinking in his mind, the master and the apprentice had a very tacit understanding, and without exception, they were all under the table, using their own methods, and began to teach Suliang a lesson for what he had done last night. Qin Benjiao pinched the waist, and pinched the soft flesh of Suliang's waist with her soft and boneless hands. Without any sign of distress, she decisively started to spin. Even with Suliang's master-level cultivation, the soft flesh on his waist suddenly turned blue and the pain was unbearable. Tan Kinja, on the other hand, stretched out her black silk jade feet decisively, along the calf, all the way up, and kept stepping and kicking. Even. The past 2 days have probably reached the climax of this chapter. Tomorrow is July. Everyone, if you want to be on the monthly voting list, since I'm so generous, can you support me? If I can rush forward, I will make a side story on the spot. Volume 1 Chapter 132, The First Person Under the Ferry, The Opportunity in the Tomb of the Qing Emperor. When she reached the critical position, Tan Kinja didn't let it go. She used a little strength to keep it within the limit of pain but without any consequences, and stepped on it a few times. Sulang, Liang, this is your punishment. Let's see if you dare to go too far in the future. To this, Suliang's expression remained as usual, as if he didn't know what to do. If you want to punish me, then punish me. Anyway, you will dare next time. Anyway, as long as you are thick-skinned. After having breakfast and calculating the time, Suliang and the others made some preparations and went directly to the direction of the Qing Emperor Mausoleum to participate in the 100 sex competition on the second day. The location of the Qingdi Mausoleum is just outside Yunluo City. It is not very far from Yunluo City. Under the leadership of Tan Kinja, Suliang and the others did not waste much time before they arrived outside the Qingdi Mausoleum and entered it. And just stepped in. However, the three of them happened to see a big wooden sign at the entrance of the Qingdi Mausoleum. After entering, all the disciples and senior officials of the 100 sects gathered around the wooden sign, looking at the content on it and talking about it. "Hey, Sulang, look, is there anything written on that wooden sign?" Qin Benjiao pointed to the wooden sign and said to Suliang, "How about we go take a look?" After hearing this, Suliang looked at Tan Kinja, and when he saw Tan Kinja nodded, he said to Qin Benjiao, "Okay, let's go and have a look." Immediately, the two of them walked to the wooden sign. Before they could squeeze into the crowd, the disciples of various sects who saw the two of them consciously made way for them. Suliang was not polite and walked in with Qin Benjiao, looking up at the content posted on the wooden sign. Reset the list of 100 sects of celebrities, use your most powerful moves to mark your name. Qin Benjiao became somewhat interested as she softly read the words written on the wooden sign. So, is this how this year's list of the 100 celebrities was re-evaluated? This method is quite interesting. At this time, the host of the 100 sects competition came to the two of them and said respectfully, "The place where you two proud men will leave their names is on the stone tablet over there. Please move to the stone tablet and wait to leave your names." Suliang nodded, "Okay." Immediately. Then he took Qin Benjiao to the end of the long queue in front of the stone tablet, waiting in line to leave his name. Certainly. While waiting, Suliang was naturally not kissing his girlfriend all the time. In fact, his eyes were always on the people in front of the stone monument, observing their methods and effects. "I saw. After everyone left their names one by one, the senior sister of the first sword sect, the imperial sister with the glazed sword body who had fought against Sul Yang, soon came to the stone monument. Call. The girl let out a long breath, put her right hand on the hilt of the long sword at her waist, and after a moment of preparation, she slashed out with the sword. Bass. The loud sound of swords pierced the sky, and in an instant, a bright sword light, with a powerful and sharp meaning, struck the stone monument at an extremely fast speed without any reservation. Boom. After a loud roar, the stone tablet that those in front of them could not shake no matter what, was cut with a white mark by this sword. At the same time, the names on the stone tablet changed drastically. Soon, the rankings of countless people took a step back, and the name of this royal sister appeared in the 7th position. Actually entered the top 10? Sul Yang raised his eyebrows, but he wasn't too surprised. After all, he had fought against this royal sister before and knew the other party's methods and strength. To be honest, if Sul Yang hadn't met him, Sul Yang felt that this imperial sister would have no problem killing the top 10. At the same time, the performance of this royal sister also aroused a burst of exclamations and discussions from everyone present. When she first came out of the sect and participated in the 100 sects competition for the first time, she was able to obtain such a high ranking. It must be said that this royal sister is also a dark horse beyond ordinary people's expectations. After a while of waiting for Sister Yu to leave, a delicate girl walked up to the stone tablet and caught Sul Yang's attention. This is also an acquaintance of Sul Yang, the girl who fought with Sul Yang during the previous top 10 battle. I saw. The girl pressed her hands on the handle of the boning knife, and instantly, her whole aura changed. From the delicate look before, she actually became fierce and angry. Immediately afterwards. Cut. With a soft shout, the girl suddenly struck out with her two swords and struck them on the stone tablet. Boom. There was another loud roar, gold and iron clashed, and the hard stone tablet was shaken several times by the girl. This effect is simply scarier than that of the previous lady. Immediately afterwards, the name changed again, and soon, the girl's name appeared in the 6th place. Turns out to be 6th. Sul Yang raised his eyebrows, but he was not surprised. After all, this girl is pretty, but her melee combat ability is really strong. Anyway, Sul Yang looked along and saw that there were many people leaving their names, there were new dark horses, there were people who were rising in the rankings, and naturally there were also those who were falling in the rankings. Everyone has different emotions regarding this ranking, but they all agree with it. And in this atmosphere, Qin Binjao finally made her appearance. Standing in front of the stone tablet, Qin Binjao waved her sleeves and launched a powerful attack, which almost knocked over the stone tablet. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 137. Next. Qin Binjao's name undoubtedly appeared at the top of the list and became the chief. And her realm is really the dragon transformation realm that blinds her eyes. This moment. Everyone had already guessed and even confirmed it, but seeing it confirmed with their own eyes was still extremely shocking. Among the younger generation, there are actually people who have become dragons. For a moment, the admiration in the eyes of everyone looking at Qin Binjao became more obvious. But Qin Binjao didn't care about this at all. Instead, she turned her head and looked at Sul Yang. Sulang, how are you? As expected of Binjao, he is indeed powerful. Sul Yang smiled and nodded, praising him sincerely. Hey hey. Qin Binjao smiled happily and moved away. Sulang, come on. Good. Nodding, Sul Yang stood in front of the stone tablet. Looking at the names on the stone tablet, Sul Yang thought for a while and felt that it was better not to try his best. Now that you've all eaten soft rice, let's continue to eat soft rice with peace of mind. As for leaving names and rankings, let's just deal with it perfunctorily. Hiding your strength is often a good thing. Then, facing the stone tablet, Suliang just used his Ming Hai Giwen energy to evolve a sword energy and pierce the stone tablet, leaving his name here. But that's the case. Suliang still ranked second only to Qin Benjao. Seeing his name hanging above it, Suliang felt a little emotional. Look, I have kept my hand, but I can still get such a high ranking? Unparalleled talent, I'm not kidding you. Soon, everyone present left their names on the monument. And this time, the beautiful lady who was the host came to the crowd again and began to explain the rules. Dear gentlemen, the rules of the 100 sex competition this time are relatively simple. The Green Emperor's mausoleum contains opportunities treasured by hundreds of sects, but at the same time, there are also hidden trials. All you gentlemen, you only need to explore it for a day and then walk out on your own. Hearing this, Suliang showed an inexplicable smile. This rule is a bit interesting. At this moment, the beautiful lady continued, I declare that the fight among hundreds of sects will begin now. All you proud men can set out on your own to explore. I am here to wish you all good luck. Sulang, let's go in together. After the beautiful lady announced the start, Qin Benjao hugged Suliang's arm and said with a smile. That's natural. Suliang nodded naturally. It was just a trial. How could he be separated from his girlfriend? Then, everyone dispersed and entered the depths of the Qing Emperor's mausoleum to explore individually. Suliang, on the other hand, walked with Qin Benjao, chose a direction, and walked in that direction. However, after just walking a short distance, Suliang felt something was wrong. Because, after all, the Qingdi Mausoleum is a mausoleum, covering a very large area, but it is located deep underground. At the entrance, there was plenty of light due to the open air, but the further inside, the darker the journey became. Gradually, even with the eyesight of Suliang and Qin Benjao, everything in front of them was blurry and could not be seen clearly. At this moment, Qin Benjao suddenly whispered, Suliang, it's so dark, I'm so scared. Immediately afterwards, so he pretended to be afraid and kept getting closer to Suliang. In the end, almost the whole person got into Suliang's arms and was carried forward by Suliang. The pair of proud peaks squeezed Suliang tightly. Full of elasticity, but still soft to the touch, Suliang was still a little distracted even though he had tasted it countless times. Feeling the warmth in his arms, Suliang looked a little strange. Is my girlfriend actually afraid of the dark? It shouldn't be, I've never seen her scared before. After thinking carefully for a moment, Suliang figured out the whole story. My girlfriend is not afraid of the dark at all, she just wants to be with her. At this thought, Suliang was helpless. It is naturally a good thing for your girlfriend to be clingy, but it is not a good thing if she is too clingy. After all, seeing his girlfriend's cute and clingy appearance always made Suliang want to bully her more and more on various occasions. Going all the way, after going deep into the Qingdi Mausoleum, I felt quite enlightened. The Qing Emperor's mausoleum was already dotted with many rare treasures. In the darkness, these rare treasures emitted a faint light. Many of them gathered together made it brighter. On the way forward, Suliang also saw many opportunities, but they were all discovered by others. Many of the people who entered the Qing Emperor's mausoleum gathered in twos and threes. Before finding the opportunity, they all agreed to divide the opportunity equally. But when the opportunity came, there were all kinds of intrigues and uneven division of accounts. Even many people started fighting on the spot. On the other hand, Suliang and Qin Benjao looked a little sad. Qin Benjao jokingly said to Suliang, Suliang, when we find the opportunity, don't be like them. That's natural. Suliang nodded and said, we, husband and wife, work together to explore together. Is there anything else that can stop us? After hearing this, Qin Binjao's cheeks immediately turned red and she lowered her head shyly. Sulang, he actually said that we are husband and wife? Okay, so happy. And just then, Qin Binjao and Suliang finally found their first opportunity. Is this, the sword intention sex enlightenment? Or is it the immortality realm? Looking at the sword tablet exuding sharp sword intent in front of him, Suliang looked at the introduction next to him and was a little surprised. It is said that stones from other mountains can be used to attack jade. An immortal's knowledge of swordsmanship is enough for Suliang to learn from. Does Sulang want to realize the sword intention? Qin Binjao asked with a smile when she saw the trace of desire on Suliang's face. Of course I want it. Suliang nodded. It's just that if you want to gain enlightenment, you still need to pass the Sword Master's 3 Swords test. Binjao, please step back and let me pass the test. But the words just fell. Qin Binjao had already activated the assessment, and then blocked the 3 swords with a wave of her hand. Immediately afterwards, Qin Binjao looked at Suliang and said, Sulang, you passed the test, please feel free to realize it. This. Looking at his girlfriend, Suliang felt quite embarrassed, but looking at his girlfriend's firm face, he still nodded, okay. After comprehending the sword monument, Suliang and the others walked forward again, and not long after, they encountered another opportunity. This is. Looking at the bottle of elixir on the stone pillar in front of him, Suliang looked at the introduction next to him, Fengling Den refined by Fengxing sect, eating 1 can increase the speed of true energy by 30%, 2 pills are half of 1, and 3 1 is 1 and a half of 2. Can it increase the speed of true energy operation? This is good stuff. Although eating 3 pills will not increase the total by even half, the speed of true energy movement is relatively fixed. Even if it can be increased by 1 point, it will be a great enhancement during training and fighting. At this moment, Qin Binjao said from the side, well, if you want to get it, you have to defeat the 3 master level puppets. That's it? It's very simple. Say it. Before Suliang could react, Qin Binjao took action decisively. With just one move, he knocked all 3 puppets to the ground and obtained the bottle of elixir. Sulang, here. Qin Binjao smiled and put the elixir into Suliang's hand. This. Looking at the elixir in his hand, Suliang felt even more embarrassed. Sulang, just take it. Seeing Suliang's hesitation, Qin Binjao came to Suliang, hugged Suliang's arm, and said coquettishly, this is the opportunity for Sulang. If Sulang doesn't want it, it's useless for me to keep it. All right, all right. Seeing this, Suliang nodded and accepted it. After advancing for a while, Suliang and Qin Binjao saw a long sword emitting cold light placed in a circle of blazing fire in front of them. The famous sword Gigzu was forged in the sword forging valley. This sword blows off the hair and cuts off the hair, leaving no trace of blood. It is truly one of the few famous swords in the world. Those who want to get this opportunity need to extinguish the earth fire before they can pass through. Volume 1 Chapter 133 The fairy wants to go out into the wild, Deizai opens the inheritance. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 138. Looking at the introduction on the side, Suliang clearly showed a hint of emotion. He has a powerful sword body and unparalleled swordsmanship, but until now, he doesn't have a better sword. I have to say, this is very uncomfortable. But I didn't expect that here, I would still get such an opportunity. I am bound to get this Guishu. Suliang looked at the circle of fire, confident and confident. But right now? But Qin Binjao said, it turns out that Suliang wants this sword. Immediately afterwards. Then they saw Qin Binjao smashing the ground with a punch, and the ground fire flew in all directions, revealing a flaw. Qin Benjio walked into it, easily got the sword, and handed it to Suliang. Sulang, here it is. Looking at the sword in his girlfriend's hand, Suliang blinked. You have solved all the opportunities and troubles I encountered along the way, but let me take all the benefits. Benjio, if this continues, I will very guilty. After all, even if I do these trials by myself, it won't be too troublesome. But I didn't expect it. Qin Benjio said seriously, Sulang, what are you talking about? It is natural for Yaoer to contribute to Lang Jun in this way. Yaoer will also be very happy. Hearing this, Suliang felt warm and moved. I am truly lucky to have such a considerate and good wife as my girlfriend. As for those who cheat and divide the spoils unevenly, are they worthy of being compared with my Benjio? Chapter 175 Dangerous Opportunity. After waiting for the treasure and resting for a while, Suliang touched Qin Benjio's head and said with a smile, Okay, Benjio, let's continue setting off. There is still half a day until the end. Let's see what opportunities we can find in this half day. Good. Qin Benjio smiled and nodded, and then followed her boyfriend on the journey to continue looking for opportunities. In the blink of an eye, another hour passed. But during this hour, Suliang and Qin Benjio found nothing. After all, this Qingdi mausoleum was originally arranged by hundreds of sects, and the number was limited. And because of the differences in strength between the hundreds of sects, the opportunities arranged are different for each one. In this hour, Suliang and Qin Benjio encountered many ordinary treasures. From their perspective, they would naturally not go through the trial with difficulty, holding some ordinary things that they could just pick up in the sect. And just when the two of them were planning to rest for a while and start looking again, not far ahead, there was a colorful object, emitting dazzling light. Sulang, look over there. Qin Benjio took Suliang's arm and pointed in that direction. Look, are there any opportunities there? Suliang squinted his eyes and looked carefully for a moment, then nodded. It seems that there is indeed a treasure. And, looking at the dazzling light, the treasure inside seems to be of great origin. In that case, how about we go over and take a look? Hearing this, Qin Benjio immediately became excited. Since entering the Green Emperor's mausoleum, he has only helped Sulang obtain 3 treasures. How could this be possible? The more opportunities, the better. Since there is a suitable one, you must get it. Okay, let's go and have a look. Suliang nodded. He was also a little curious, what level of opportunity would it have to emit such a dazzling light? Then, after making the decision, the two of them moved forward and rushed to the place where the opportunity lay. However, as soon as he arrived, Qin Benjio frowned and said with some dissatisfaction, Oh, why are there so many people here? I saw. On top of a towering stone pillar in front, a narrow 7-colored light group was shining, but the treasure inside was obscured by the light group and could not be seen clearly. There were already many people gathered around the stone pillar, pointing at the treasures on the stone pillar and talking about it. He looked at the treasure on the stone pillar and then at the people around him. For some reason, Suliang vaguely felt something was wrong. This treasure shines brightly, as if it is deliberately attracting many people to it. As for why we do this, gather everyone together and catch them all in one fell swoop. This chance treasure looks exquisite and gorgeous, but there is a danger hidden within it. At this moment, Qin Benjio on the side couldn't help it anymore, took Suliang's hand and said, Sulang, let's go quickly, otherwise, others will take away the treasure. Don't worry. Suliang grabbed his girlfriend and shook his head, take a look first before talking. I always feel that this treasure is a bit dangerous. The words just fell. Then one person shouted, Everyone, since no one is taking action, I will happily accept this treasure. Say it. The man took a step forward, stretched out his hand, and headed straight for the ball of light. But right now, stab it. A long and narrow sword light suddenly pierced out from the light group. In just an instant, it pierced the arm of the person who reached out and knocked him away. It was already a serious injury. Seeing the person lying on the ground and moaning in pain, for a moment, those who were still eager to try and snatch it all stopped. The sword light was so fast that no one could figure out the direction of the sword light. But only for a moment. Attracted by the treasure, another person stepped forward and shouted, "Haha, you are so frightened so easily. In this case, the treasure is mine. Say it." This man thrust his sword towards the ball of light, as if to deal with the sudden sword light. However, before the person's sword touched the light group, another sword light flew out from the light group, instantly piercing the person's shoulder and nailing him out. And after this, several people challenged them one after another, each using their own methods, but they were knocked away by the sword light one after another and severely injured. Among those who challenged them, there were also some strong ones taking action. Among them, there were even those who ranked among the top 10 in the 100 sex contest list. Sulang is decisive and has a keen eye. Qin Benjao looked at her boyfriend with admiration. Even the top 10 people were severely damaged. This opportunity is decisive and dangerous. It may be difficult to obtain it. Sulang, should we go and try, or should we leave directly? After hearing this, Sulang smiled and said, "Let's go and have a look. I'm somewhat sure." Say it. Then he took his girlfriend and went straight to the stone pillar. Seeing the two people arriving, everyone stopped what they were doing, stood aside, and looked at the two people quietly. After all, Sulang is the leader of the arena battle. Although there are some problems, his strength cannot be underestimated. And Qin Benjao, the famous Benjao fairy, is even more famous for her cultivation in the dragon transformation realm. Among the people present, there was no one who didn't know the two of them. Arriving in front of the stone pillar, Sulang made a sword gesture with his hand and compared it to the fingers of a sword. Then he softly shouted, "Go." Next, several rays of sword energy appeared around Sulang, and then, controlled by him, they started bombarding the stone pillars. Just a moment. The stone pillar collapsed suddenly, and the light ball on it fell down and rolled right next to Sulang. Picking up the light ball, Sulang held it in his hand and showed a smile. He had already discovered the clues in this opportunity and danger. That sword light seemed to be extremely powerful, but in fact, it was just a formation engraved on this stone pillar. As long as the stone pillar is broken, no matter what the formation is, it will be useless. Once at the Green Emperor's mausoleum, Sulang and the two received a sword, a bottle of elixir, and an immortal sword master. The most important thing is that the last light group is an extremely precious treasure. This time, although the quantity is not large, each item is a good treasure, which can be said to be a huge harvest. Then, after getting the treasure in the light ball, Sulang and Qin Benjao found a secluded place to rest. Being able to get so many treasures today is all thanks to Benjao. Sulang touched his girlfriend's head and said with a smile, "How about it, Benjao, do you have anything you want? It can be regarded as a reward for you." Hearing this, Qin Benjao had a bold idea in her mind. "Sulang, look, let's play in the wild." Play in the wild? Hiss, exciting. But no. Sulang gave his girlfriend a sudden shock and said, "There are many people coming and going in the Green Emperor's mausoleum. If we play like this, I'm worried that someone will spy on me. How about we play again next time when we have a chance?" In the Qing Emperor's mausoleum, hundreds of sects were in full swing. A figure flew forward from a distance, but because it was slightly hidden, it was not discovered by the high-level officials of the 100 sects at the entrance to the Qingdi mausoleum. This figure is exactly the clone sent by Daozai. Standing outside the Qing Emperor's mausoleum, Daozai looked at the jade pendant tied around his waist with an incomprehensible expression. He found that as he got closer and closer to the Qing Emperor's mausoleum, the jade pendant with the Qing Emperor's inheritance on his waist flickered more and more frequently. Just like as a separated piece, it gradually approaches the main body. This change made Daozai feel very surprised. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 139. After all, as the person who got the jade pendant related to the Qing Emperor's inheritance, he has come here not once or twice, but to the Qing Emperor's mausoleum, a place that most likely has the Qing Emperor's inheritance. However, every time they returned without success. And when I came here before, this jade pendant never showed any reaction. So, what happened this time? What happened in the Qing Emperor's mausoleum to cause this jade pendant, which carries the Qing Emperor's inheritance, to react like this? Original. Daozai planned to directly activate the jade pendant in his hand after arriving here to elicit the inheritance hidden here. But now, since the jade pendant has undergone such a change, will anything bad happen if the jade pendant is activated rashly? Thinking in his heart, Daozai hesitated for a moment. But apart from activating the jade pendant and eliciting the inheritance here, it seems that he has no other good solution. Then, at this moment of doubt, Daozai poured his true energy into the jade pendant in his hand, and then used the jade pendant in his hand to activate the inheritance of this place. Moment. Volume 1 Chapter 134 The Shura field finally appears. Master, you are greedy for my man. Boom. Just listen, after a loud roar. A huge figure suddenly appeared on the sky. Looking at the figure on the horizon, at this moment, Daozai had a clear understanding in his heart. This person is Emperor Qing. I saw. In the distant sky, the figure was huge and astonishing. Its face was a little unclear, but it was dressed in a green robe. Under its calm aura, it carried a sense of aloofness and majesty. Just one glance at this huge figure makes people feel in awe, and they can't help but fall to the ground and kneel in worship. This is a majestic existence that cannot be looked directly at. Even if it is just a ray of light and shadow, it still makes people dare not look directly at it, as if it spans the long river of time, showing a trace of the true appearance of the Qing Emperor who once dominated the world and shook the world with one hand. At this moment, in front of Daozai, the door to the other side opened. Behind the light door, it was not even clear, but Daozai knew that it was the place where the Qing Emperor inherited the test. Without any hesitation, Daozai took a step forward, stepped into it, and began to accept the Qing Emperor's trial. At the same time, not far away on the skyline. But there is another beautiful figure lingering here, unwilling to leave for a long time. This person is none other than Wan Qing. Wan Qing's purple hair spreads down her back, and her beautiful face is filled with a sense of peace and holiness, but there is a charm between her eyebrows and eyes. But instead of affecting this holy harmony, this charming charm blended perfectly with it, making Wan Qing even more beautiful. A long robe wrapped around Wan Qing's exquisite, soft, and delicate body. The front and back were convex and eye-catching, and the pair of slender legs were wrapped in black silk, which actually added a bit of mature charm. Countless years have passed, and the playful girl at the beginning has now become calm and elegant under the precipitation of time, with a little more charm brought by time. Unparalleled elegance, that's what it is. And at this moment, this beautiful woman with unparalleled grace stared closely at the figure of the Qing Emperor in front of her with her beautiful eyes. Although King Di's face is blurry, how can we forget that face and that special aura that have been etched in our hearts for countless years? A look of nostalgia flashed through her beautiful eyes, and those happy moments etched deep in her memory reappeared in her mind. Just thinking about them made her mouth curl up slightly, revealing a happy smile. Did he come to the Kingdom Mausoleum today? The Kingdom Mausoleum, which had been silent for countless years, was suddenly opened on the day he arrived. So, vaguely, Wan Qing had a guess in her mind. She felt that the reason why the Qing Emperor Mausoleum was opened must be because of him. But that's exactly what it should be, isn't it? Just because it's him. At the same time, the moment the Qing Emperor Mausoleum opened, changes also occurred inside the Kingdom Mausoleum. On Suliang's side, he had just finished the tender relationship with his girlfriend and was about to continue looking for opportunities. Boom! A dull sound suddenly resounded in the Qing Emperor Mausoleum. Immediately afterwards, the entire Kingdom Mausoleum seemed to begin to shake violently. Suliang hurriedly supported Qin Benjiao, who almost fell down beside him, frowning and looking at the shaking Kingdom Mausoleum. For some reason, Suliang felt that what was shaking was not the Qing Emperor Mausoleum at all. This is time and space vibrate. In the end, what happened? What kind of power can make the entire time and space where the Qing Emperor Mausoleum is located shake? Frowning, Suliang thought carefully. But before Suliang could think about the result, under this violent vibration of space and time, great changes occurred in space. A powerful and unstoppable force actually directly separated everyone's positions and forcibly teleported them to another place. Then, Suliang and Qin Benjiao, who had always been inseparable, had no choice but to separate under this power. They watched helplessly as the other party's figure disappeared in front of them, but they were unable to do anything. It's not just Suliang and Qin Benjiao. Even the powerful sect masters at the immortality realm at the entrance were helpless in the face of this sudden change. What exactly is going on? The leader of the immortality realm looked at the scene around him changing violently, shouting in disbelief. Some people tried to stop this change, but they used various methods, but they were like mud and cattle drowning, without causing any waves. Not only that, after being forcibly teleported, they even felt that their spiritual consciousness was all shackled and could not be used at all. Then, these powerful sect leaders were all treated like chess pieces, and they were also reduced to testers. After forced transmission. Looking at the strange scene in front of her, Tan Qinja looked surprised. She had long heard that the real Blue Emperor's trials and inheritance might be hidden in the Qing Emperor's mausoleum, but because she hadn't found it for a long time, she didn't pay much attention to it. But I never thought that this rumor was actually true. After being forcibly teleported away, Suliang slowly opened his eyes and saw at a glance that in front of him was a huge cliff. And on top of this cliff, there is a simple, long, and narrow ancient road to the sky, extending to the sky. I saw. The ancient road in the sky is suspended in mid-air, with clouds floating around it, and bursts of thunder from time to time. But on the ancient road, there are actually ancient and incomprehensible inscriptions engraved on it. Every brick and stone on it reveals the traces of time. The entire ancient road in the sky exudes an ancient and mysterious aura, extending to an extremely far distance, as if there is no end. Is this my trial? Looking at this ancient road in the sky, Suliang murmured to himself. Looking at the ancient road in the sky in front of him, Suliang frowned slightly and began to think about whether to set foot on it. All the changes in the Qing Emperor's mausoleum occurred suddenly and without any warning. Up until now, Suliang still hadn't figured out the situation. Therefore, it is not clear at all what the ancient road in front of the sky is, and whether it is safe. But right now, however, Suliang felt that there were calls coming from the end of the ancient road in the sky that could not be seen at all. This feeling is as if something that belongs to you is calling you to retrieve it at the end of the road. What on earth is calling me? This time, Suliang was even more confused. At the same time, there were more doubts in my heart. can be followed immediately. In Suliang's body, the cauldron, which had been silent and motionless since he obtained it, suddenly flashed with intense brilliance. This is resonance. This giant cauldron, whose name cannot even be seen, actually resonates with the things here? Doesn't that mean that there must be some treasure at the end of this ancient road in the sky? Thinking in his heart, Suliang looked at the ancient road in the sky with no end in sight. After thinking for a moment, he decided to take a walk. Anyway, things have come to this, there are cliffs in front and behind, this sky is the only way forward, not to mention, there may be treasures on it. There is no reason not to leave. Then, after making the decision, Suliang stepped onto the ancient road in the sky very decisively. But the moment he set foot on the ancient road, my villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 140. The ancient road in front of the sky has suddenly undergone great changes. I saw. Boom. After a loud roar, the ancient road in the sky that almost stretched across the sky suddenly began to tremble, and then began to crack inch by inch, turning into an abyss. Immediately afterwards, along with the collapse of the ancient road in the sky, the whole world seemed to be shaking violently. In the sky, cracks like broken mirrors can be seen everywhere. Looking down, even the earth is rolling violently, smoke and dust are filling the air, mountain peaks are broken, and long rivers are cut off. This moment, it's really a real scene of the world collapsing and the end of the world. But behind him, there was silence and peace, the only safe place in this world-destroying scene. However, facing this doomsday scene. However, Suliang was fearless and resolute, taking steps towards the abyss ahead, and then fell heavily. During this period, Suliang looked extremely calm and did not even blink. Immediately afterwards, tread. With a soft sound, Suliang stepped down to the ground, and the doomsday scene in front of him also disappeared with this step. Can be followed immediately. On the road in front of Suliang, two figures suddenly appeared. Looking carefully, it turned out to be Lin Feng and Ren Changsheng. Suliang, you despicable villain, shameless person. Lin Feng had a look of hatred on his face and shouted, take away my junior sister, destroy my opportunity, and kill my life. This hatred is irreconcilable. Today, I will kill you to satisfy the hatred in my heart. Ren Changsheng also showed hatred on his face, with a hint of madness, and roared, Suliang, I have been with Kinja for 10 years, but I still haven't been able to impress him, but it only took you a few days to impress Kinja. Why are you cheating me? Not only that, all my plans were destroyed by your hands, and my life was also taken away by you. I hate it. Today, you will definitely die. Say it. The two of them actually shot at the same time, with a killing move, heading towards Suliang. And faced with this kind of scene where the enemy is asking for his life, Suliang was not afraid at all, and still moved forward slowly, unmoving. It's just a phantom test, let alone a phantom. Even if this really happens, what do I have to fear? My Taoist heart is strong and firm. How can it be shaken by these small difficulties? Then, click. With a crisp sound, in front of Suliang, the figures of Ren Changsheng and Lin Feng suddenly shattered and disappeared. Suliang, on the other hand, still maintained his own pace, walking forward step by step, not fast, but very determined. Soon, just halfway through. But at this moment, in front of Suliang, what was originally an ancient road in the sky suddenly split into dozens of routes. Each route seems to represent a different choice. See this? Suliang raised his eyebrows. Is this the so-called fork in fate? And before Suliang could make a choice, not far in front of him, there were waves of familiar arguing sounds. Suliang looked over curiously, and at a glance, he saw that his girlfriend and his sister were at war with each other, and the atmosphere was tense. It seemed that any slightest movement could cause the two to fight. How is this going? Just when Suliang was confused, Qin Binjao shouted with some grievance and anger, "Master, you actually went behind my back and got together with Sulang. Master, I trust you so much, but how could you betray me like this? Obviously, you are all my closest people." Tan Kinja replied calmly, "Yao, you don't understand. You can't stop the feeling when it comes. Okay, in that case, we, master and disciple, will break up from now on." Qin Binjao shouted angrily, then unsheathed her long sword, and instantly started fighting with her master. And it was at this moment that Suliang understood. This scene is actually his real inner demon. From the moment he was with Tan Kinja, what he feared most was the outcome of the hatchet in Shura field. After all, both Qin Binjao and Tan Kinja are devoted to him, and Suliang loves them both very much. No matter who they are, he can't let them go, and he doesn't want to see them fall out and fight over this. However, when Suliang actually witnessed all this happening, he discovered that he was not actually afraid. Not only that, in fact, in his heart, he was still looking forward to it. After all, keeping this kind of thing hidden from Qin Binjao was not an option. Sooner or later, he would have to confess it to his girlfriend. Therefore, at this moment, Suliang understood that what he had to do was not to worry about the consequences, but to think about how to make his girlfriend believe this and recognize Tan Kinja's existence. And I can definitely do this. As soon as he thought of this, Suliang's heart immediately surged with ambition. At this time, the host deserves to be a qualified Cao thief. If you have such ambition, you will not be poked. Congratulations to the host. You have made another big step forward on the road of being a Cao thief. To inspire your ambition, we will bring you new benefits. The simulation starts again, but are the 49 routes in front of you enabled? After hearing this, Suliang said without hesitation, "Turn it on." Then, the system simulation was restarted, and it immediately began to simulate the running routes in front of it one by one, and find the real way out hidden among the 49 routes. The simulation ended quickly. Through the results of the simulation, Suliang successfully found the only way out among the 49 roads and strode forward. But before he had gone far, Suliang saw a familiar plump figure in front of him. "Seem. Is it sister?" After carefully identifying it, and looking at Tan Kinja, who was walking alone on this ancient road in the sky with a cold and majestic expression, Suliang was finally sure that the one in front of him must be real. "But after finally finding my sister, I just went up to meet her, which always felt a bit monotonous. Not as good as..." Rolling his eyes, Suliang showed an inexplicable smile, and then walked up quickly, and soon came behind Tan Kinja. "Liang." The moment she saw Suliang, a happy smile appeared on Tan Kinja's face and she walked towards Suliang. However, "July 1st, help me keep the tickets tomorrow, please fulfill my last wish." Volume 1 # Chapter 135 Fairy, Illusion or something, oh, it's true. Suliang took a step back, pretending to be wary, and with the intention of teasing his sister, he said in a deep voice, "Don't move. Let me ask you, are you really my sister? How can it be false?" It seems that she has also encountered the evolution of the illusion. Tan Kinja did not feel angry at Suliang's suspicion. Instead, she said sincerely, "Liang, it's really me. I do not believe." Suliang shook his head and said, "Unless you prove your innocence and prove that you are my sister." "This." Tan Kinja hesitated, "How do you want me to prove this?" After hearing this, Suliang pretended to think, and after a moment, he said, "Let me ask you, what posture do you like to use when you and I are harmonizing yin and yang?" "Ah. Tan Kinja screamed in surprise, feeling shy and her pretty face turned red. Even if I really want to prove my innocence, how could Aoyang ask such a shameful question? How do you want people to answer this? But looking at Suliang's serious look, even though she was ashamed, Tan Kinja still whispered, "Up, up." But her voice was too quiet, like a mosquito, and couldn't be heard at all. "Louder, you can't hear me at all." I said, "It's up there." Tan Kinja blushed and finally shouted. "Well, that's true." Suliang touched his chin and suddenly asked, "Let me ask you again, how much do you like me?" This question did not embarrass Tan Kinja. Looking at Suliang affectionately, Tan Kinja said, "Live for you, die for you." Just 6 words are enough to prove that Tan Kinja has a deep affection for Suliang, which is shocking. Even Suliang almost gave up on Tan Kinja's defense with just 6 words. He felt soft in his heart and almost gave up the idea of teasing Tan Kinja. But soon, Suliang calmed down, coughed slightly, and continued to ask, "Let me ask you again, what do you like to shout most when you are in bed?" Perhaps because of her previous experience, although Tan Kinja was very shy, she still suppressed her shyness and said, "Good, good brother. You got all the answers right." Suliang raised his eyebrows, seeming a little surprised. But he shook his head again and said, "No, no, just like this, it still doesn't prove that you are true. It seems that I have to test it myself. I am very familiar with my sister's body. If there is anything wrong, I can check it out." "Say it." Before Tan Kinja agreed, Suliang walked up to her, stretched out his hand, and touched her body, up and down, as if he was really testing whether she was real or fake.